Hello everybody, welcome back to Stamping School. I'm working out of the Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog, January to April 2025. I got a request for this one, linked together. It's on page 49. It's got a bundle with stamps and dies and stencils. It looks modern, so I thought, I'll give it a try and see if I like it. So I've got mixed reviews on it. I'll share as I go, but overall, I do like the dies a lot. So let's take a look at the dies. This is one of those sets that you could just get the dies only. They don't really coordinate much with the greetings. I mean, they do. They do. But I think you could use them for so many other things, and I think it's a nice stamp set. It's fine if you don't have something like that. I always like Just a Note because it works for everything. But the dies really do work alone, so they're not dependent on any stamps. You've got this shape right here, and they all have stitching on them. Little, well, dots. There's a difference between the little dots and dashes, which I call stitching, but they call this stitched quite often. But they're really tiny, tiny little dots, kind of like a sewing machine would make the holes, right, without the thread. Anyway, there's a really nice oval, which looked like an Easter egg to me, so I'll show you something like that. And then this die right here does the linked chain fence looking thing. And there's two leaves, stems with little leaves, and I love it when they do this. They put all of them together in a row, so when they cut out, you get 4 individual flowers. And the same thing with this one, 2 like daisies. So those are the dies. Let's see, there's 7 pieces for around 30 something. Is it 37 by themselves? Anyway, I do like the dies. And then I showed you the stamp sets, and then I will also show you the stencils. These were not my favorite. I'm usually all about the stencils. Remember the trees with the stencils? Fantastic. The flowers? Fantastic. And these were a little bit harder than I wanted to do for the effect that it came out with. This one, I like how it came out. Kind of a simple, but I did Melon Mambo and apple green, and a little espresso back there. The paper comes from the freebie paper, the toadstools. I know a lot of people don't like mushrooms and toadstools and all that, but the back of the paper is great. There's so many, look at this one. There's so many great papers behind it, so I use this one as a little layer back here. I use the Hope You Know stamp set because I love that one. And then I did a little trick with the ribbon that I'll show you. So on this one, I was wondering what it would look like if I had just a little bit of these colors peeking out. So here's the espresso layer. Remember, I'll put the dimensions down there for you. It's kept fairly small. It's about 2.5 by 4, this little lattice. I kind of wish it was bigger. See, that might look okay with those little colors just peeking out. And I thought, like the trellis, yeah, that looks kind of good. Or I could use the back side like this. So you've got a little bit of greenery back here. Maybe I'll try that one. I think if you don't already have a trellis looking die, this one is a nice one. Like I said, I wish it was a little bit bigger. And we've got some ephemera right now that has some lattice in it. One of the ephemera has a few pieces of big lattice in it. Yeah, I think I like that little tiny piece of green poking out like that. That looks nice. Now to glue this down, you're going to want a fine tip glue of some kind. And I only glue down along the edges. There's no need to glue all in the middle because I feel like, I kind of like that it's popped open. And you can tuck your leaves in if you want to. I'm using our white mono glue in a little squeeze bottle because I needed something really fine tipped. Our fine tip glue, although is really nice, it doesn't dry as quickly as this one, so I tend to like this one just a bit better for this application. Oops, scoot that over a little. Okay. I like the snappiness of the white with it. And then I'm just gonna lay these on here. Now, if you want it to look like a real trellis, because you didn't glue down, you can kind of tuck these in here and there. There's 2 sprigs that come together, so you can kind of just put those in there and then just stick your flowers on. Now, I did little tiny black dimensionals behind there. And if you want to, you can add your rhinestones or whatever behind. And then I use the oval to put the sentiment on. Now, just to jazz it up a little bit, there's a little bit of ribbon here. Let me show you what I did. I really wanted a green ribbon. I didn't have any. We don't have any right now. So we have this white ribbon. And let me show you what worked the best. So if you've dyed ribbons before, you could easily use your blends and make this whole thing green. The only thing is it spreads out a little bit. Same thing with the marker. Like I tried the fine point and I tried our regular markers. It all kind of spread out. But if you use ink instead, we're going to tape it down. You can use a little bit of masking tape or whatever you want to do. But I did a little bit of tape this way, like that. And right here to kind of hold it down. I just wanted a stripe like that. And then your ink, you can just rub it on here. It doesn't bleed, which I was very, very happy about. And I don't have to do a lot. I'm really only going to just tuck it in right here. But you want to make sure you cover up the edges like that. So, and then you can just peel that off and you get a nice crisp line. I found this didn't fray too badly, but it still frayed a little bit. This is one of the online exclusives. It's just a white woven. It's nice. It's sturdy and it's thin, so it ties nicely. So all I did was cut this in half, like that, and just turned it, because I felt like it needed just a little extra something in here. And then you can just tuck that in right there. Just glue it down with a little bit of tape. This goes on with dimensionals like that. And then just to make it, you can see this one's much thinner. I did it lighter. I kind of like the darker one. I just tied a little twine on there. So you're really just tucking that under and then just pinching that together and tying a bow, just for a little extra texture on the card. And then add the rhinestones. And on the inside, I just took extra pieces of that I have left over and cut a little piece here, cut a little piece there, and then added this for my sentiment with the other flower and a leftover sprig. All right, let me show you these stencils real quick, because in case you get everything, I want you to know how to use it. I've already talked you out of it and said that I didn't like them that much, but maybe you do. Maybe you like these. So I'm going to show you how to use them, and then I'll show you what my frustration was. Now, just like all the other stencils, these have little numbers up in the corner. There's notches, so your notch is always up in the upper left-hand corner or wherever you have it, but make sure the notches are all in the same corner. And there's little bitty numbers. They're hard to see, but they are embossed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they want you to start with 1. And I always kind of line it up with the paper, so it's a little bit easier every time. And I'm not gonna do a whole thing because it would take forever, but I'll show you just the basic bones of it, what it looks like. I did find out while experimenting a little bit that I do like the azure and the balmy blue and the navy together, so that was kind of fun. So you can start with a brush, you can do a sponge, you can do sponge daubers, whatever you want. It depends on how small the little holes get, and I'll show you one of them. The holes on it are quite small. I'm just gonna start with the balmy blue first, okay? Then, and that's fine, that's a pretty little background. Number 2, again, same corner, cover it up. And you do want to tape it down. I've been loving this wall safe tape just because you can reuse it and it just really works nicely. Let's do the azure on this one. Yes, I did the same brush. All right, so with this one we're going a little bit darker. And I'm going quickly because I don't want this video to be an hour long. Okay, see, we're getting somewhere. That's number 2. You can stop there if you want to. Number 3, and the holes get smaller as you go down the line here. All right, I'm just gonna stay with the darker one. Oh, I might have gotten off the edge on that one a little bit. Number 4. Now you could just stop here. I think if you even did something with just a few different colors, this would be enough. But we go on because there's more. I'm gonna switch to navy, but I'm not gonna press too hard on this one. I just want a little bit of definition, not too much. And again, I'm going quickly just to show you what the whole thing looks like, and then I'll show you some samples. And then you decide if it's something you might wanna try. Kind of have to like that geometric look too. Okay, now my eyes are starting to get a little buggy on it. I kind of like to stop before this one. I don't like this one, but you know, I'm giving you the full tour here. And then this little guy, this is the one that drove me crazy. This one was a little hard to get all the dots to show. I tried to sponge dauber, and on this one I found to really get in there with your brush was probably the best way, but it's messy. I got ink all over my fingers. I feel like there's so many good designer papers out there now that this is a lot of work for a pattern. And I'm okay with doing some work, but holy moly, then I got to go clean these in the sink. I take them all to the sink, soap and water, and wash and dry them. That's a lot. It's a lot of extra, right? For a mess that, you know, it's okay. Like I said, it's fine. It's just not my favorite. So all of that said, let me show you a couple samples. This one, I stopped before the one I don't like. So I didn't do this one on it. So I did the same color combos and I liked it better. I was trying to do something non-floral and navy and azure and the balmy blue. And I used the stamps and a little bit of the stenciling right there. It's okay. Now this one, because I told you they look like Easter eggs to me, I did Storybook Friends. So the scale is weird. They're like jumbo eggs, like monster eggs compared to the bunnies, but that's okay. It's a card, it's all right. But I did the bunnies, and then I did the lattice over top of that, the egg, and did a little stenciling on them, just a little bit in the pastel colors. I like that one. This one was just funny, and it was just kind of fun to try because it reminded me of chicken fence. And so I didn't have any chickens, but I did have seagulls. So what I did is I took the first one, I took number 1, and I did my marker. So I just took a marker, and in about as long as a song, took me about 3 minutes, I just went through and traced them all out, the whole thing on the number 1. And then I put the second one on top, which was blue. And then when you peel it off, it looks like that. So I used the oval and a couple of the point that I cut down. This guy, I just cut the tips off there because it kind of mimicked this shape. And then this guy I masked down in the corner. He's like behind the fence. I'm like, well, that's kind of sad. But I did like that part. So my review on the stencils is they're okay. I hate to say I don't like them, but I will probably never use them again. Now, this one I really liked a lot because I love this paper first of all. I haven't used it much. It's in the annual catalog. It's the Full of Life paper. It's just such cool, fun paper. And on the back side, you know, there's all these rainbow palette washes that are so pretty. Oh, I missed that one. That's pretty. So I cut that out and I thought, oh, that'd make a really fun looking kite, you know, for a big project. A gift bag, a scrapbook page, and make a really cool kite. But no, I didn't do that. So I took a black one to layer it out. I kind of wish it had layers to it, the die, but I'm okay with this. And see how you can just kind of layer these together like that. And there's just a little bit, you know, missing there, but I kind of like the way that looks. Then one green, I did olive on that one to make it a little darker. I did daffodil on the flowers and laid those out. I got those on there with some dimensionals like that. Let me show you the background because that's the really important part. This is a layer. This is a regular size black card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And those two lattices fit perfectly this way. So if you cover it, literally is 4 inches. And when you die cut these, make sure you save all these little pieces because I think we could do some really fun stuff with all those little pieces. Even if you could color them or do something fun like that. Actually, they die cuts nicely. You just gotta poke these out. So I think those pieces would be fun to do something with. Okay, then we're just gonna glue these, like I said, just around the outside. You don't have to worry about the centers. Just get this part really good glued down, and this fits pretty perfectly together. I mean, it's like, I know you have to cut 2 of them out, but it looks pretty darn good. And then that goes on top of there. So that gets glued on there, and then look at that sentiment. I love that. That's actually the ephemera. The ephemera packs are getting better and better. This one has 2 sets of black with white and 2 sets of white with black, and they come in one package. And so originally I had done this one, which is nice and fine. And then I went, whoa, look how nice that looks with that. And I just glued it straight down on there. So these have, I mean, look at all of them. So you've got all of these white with black, and then all of these. Lots and lots and lots of different sentiments to use. They don't have adhesive on the back, which I like, because then you can pop them up if you want to, or you can just glue them down yourself. You're not committed to anything. And I love how that came out with the balmy blue behind it. On the inside, I did a piece of balmy blue and another piece of this with the extra green and the flower on the inside, so I can write a little note there. That one's probably my favorite. So I will put all of these in the measurements in the resource for you, the PDF. These 2 are definitely my favorite. This one's okay. This one's kind of cute. This one's just kind of weird, but I still liked it. But these 2 are great. So that at the end of the day, I really just like the dies. I hate to say that, but I'm honest. And the dies I think are worth it. I like them a lot. I think I will use them quite a bit, and I love that they have the stitching on them. And I love this nice big oval, which I think we needed in the stitching. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. See it, learn it, stamp it.